I'm Liz Larson.
And I'm Bill McKenna.
And together, we created the Cognomovement system. And we'd like to welcome you to the New Life Perspectives radio show,
where we're going to be sharing with you tools, tips, and ideas that are going to change your life.
Hello, hello. In UK Health Radio Land, I am Liz Larson with New Life Perspectives radio show and one half of the Cognomovement team. And I am here with
Bill McKenna.
Hey, Bill McKenna, how you doing?
Great. So happy to be back and doing another episode with the New Life Perspectives radio show and UK Health Radio. We're so grateful to be part of their team. And the subject today is near and dear to both of our hearts.
Yeah, so Bill and I just had an amazing experience. Now, I want to tell you guys up front that we can't share everything with you yet, but it really spurred a bigger conversation. The trip that we went on was to a physical location on the planet where the energy seems to be different. We wanted to do some experiments, around the topic of horsepower, energy, electricity, and the body in this location. Now, there's a reason, a method for our madness here. In the work that Bill and I do with Cognomovement, we discovered very early on, thanks to the BioWell machine, that when people were able to delete patterns, neurological patterns that we suspected were gobbling up the body's physical horsepower, when they could get them out of their body, traumas, physical discomforts, situations, anger, fear, shame, that their natural energy, horsepower, jumped. And when that jump happened, healing happened. But not only that, a whole host of other things happened that we'll talk about today. So I wanted to talk to you about this, Bill. What was it like for you when we first discovered through testing in BioWell that people were jumping energetically? And talk about that a little bit. What is that measurement about in the BioWell? So
this is really a fascinating phenomenon that happens. Now, I know you listeners out there are like, what are you guys talking about? You know, there's a place on the planet, the energy is greater, and what does all that mean? Well, I'm going to back up a minute and just to explain that you, me, and every other human, our bodies are virtually a battery. Actually, like an electric battery. We have a north pole and a south pole like a battery, and we have a certain amount of electrical charge in our physical body. When our body, the energy, the electrical charge in our body drops let's say in a cell, to below 30 millivolts, I believe is the measurement, that the cell won't regenerate. And above 50 millivolts, it will. So this is a really kind of a very interesting phenomenon that was discovered by the Harvard-trained doctor, Dr. Jerry Tennant. He has the Tennant Institute, I believe, out of Texas. So this is scientifically proven that your health is relative to the electrical charge in your body. Now, you might even be familiar with the, in the East, they have acupuncture. Actually, worldwide now, acupuncture is available to virtually everybody anywhere. And they can either enhance or retard an electrical signal in the body with the aid of using needles or pressing on points. So I just wanted to give that basic understanding for everybody here so they know kind of what this program is about and what we're talking about and where we're going. When years ago, many years ago, when the first discovery of Cognomovement, we had people who had issues. Let's say um, fear, guilt, grief, anger, resentment, whatever the emotion was, we had the person feel the emotion, and then we did a cross-body exercise with this colorful ball that we invented. And in this process, it would stimulate a person neurologically. Just by doing this exercise, it stimulated certain parts of the brain. But there was this other phenomenon that we noticed, that people were experiencing sensations in their physical body. The very first session that we ever did, I had the person to focus on their fear, and they started sweating profusely. They were just catching this little ball and moving it left, right, and they all of a sudden were like, within a few minutes, they said, "My belly button is so hot," and I was kind of laughing. That's weird, right? Belly button hot, and he was actually sweating profusely. And I was laughing because I don't feel anything. I'm just having him to focus on his fear and catch this ball and say the color and do this exercise. Well, a few minutes later, he stopped sweating, but he said, "Oh my God, I'm going to have a heart attack." He said his chest hurt so bad. And then a few minutes later, he no longer had that heart attack. He felt like he was literally, he started choking. He said, "I can't breathe, I'm choking." And then anybody said, "How's your heart?" "Heart's fine." And he kept doing the exercise, and he felt it in his head and then the top of his head, and poof, it was gone. Now, I knew, because this phenomenon just kept happening and people no longer felt their fear after. They just kind of like, almost like this weird thing moving through the body and leaving. Well, I recognized that had to be this energy system, the energy system that's utilized in acupuncture and that sort of thing. I knew it had to be that, but I had no proof. Along came the BioWell. Now, the BioWell is a device that was invented by a physics professor out of the University of St. Petersburg in Russia. And he was a physics photonics professor. So he was the study of the physics of light. And he ended up inventing this device called the BioWell, where he could actually measure this biophotonic field, the energy in your body, the electrical charge. And lo and behold, anyway, we got this device and went through the multi-day training, actually many multi-day trainings now. And what happened is that when we were doing the exercise, we were measuring people, and everywhere they said they felt those sensations that I talked about earlier, like your gut, your heart, your throat, all those things, it showed up right on the test. You could see the actual energy right there moving. Ultimately, what we found was, when there was this release of fear, guilt, grief, anger, whatever it was, that there was a corresponding increase in energy. So, and when I say energy, I mean electrical charge in the body. You would, because the measurement is called a joule of energy. Now, a joule of energy, the best way I heard that described is like a calorie of electricity. if you looked at it, that's what it is. It's like a calorie of electricity. So people get done and they have a boost in their electricity. So going back to what I said earlier, which was based upon the work of Dr. Jerry Tennant, that Harvard trained professor, is the more electricity that you have in your body, the healthier that you are. So when people physically exercise, right? You've heard exercising is good for you. Well, there is this membrane, like a silvery membrane. Maybe if you ever made a turkey in your life, that silvery membrane that's around the muscle. That membrane actually, as you contract your muscles, it creates an electrical charge. So the more you exercise, it's really good for the electrical charge in your body as well. That's one of the reasons that exercise is really great for your health, your overall health. So that is how we basically figured out that our work is having a real impact on that electrical charge in the body.
Yeah, I mean, all of that is so amazing. All those little discoveries, all those pieces that added up. And when Bill actually invited somebody from the SciTech labs, I believe, right, that had the first BioWell machine to one of our first, or actually probably our very first Cognomovement seminar, yeah, where we saw these measurements and we first started to understand. But we grew to understand very, very quickly that different emotional states, so I mentioned shame, fear, anger, all of those things that, on the map of awareness or the levels of consciousness with Dr. David Hawkins, are on those lower levels. And in that document, it does show a number, an energetic number. And the way we kind of look at that now is it's that shame is actually sucking that energy down to that number, where your available numbers are much, much higher than that. So what we discovered is that when we can delete one of those or remove them from the body, or more plainly, stop that pattern along your power lines, your overall system gets that energy back. And then we could see on the BioWell that your joules, your overall energy jumped. But more than that, things like balance would come back, different organs would have higher energy. So we started to see that there was a big correlation between what we would now kind of classify as larger programs, those shame, fear, anger, desire, pride, some of those, and your overall horsepower, energetic output. So one of the ways I like to describe this is, imagine your car and, what is it, 200 horsepower, and 150 of that horsepower was going to your door locks. Super, super unresourceful, right? So that's kind of what it's like. If a big chunk of your energy is going to shame, fear, pain, all of those, it's like your energy being rerouted to door locks. You don't have that energy for your immune system, for your brain, really for any kind of healing, thinking, changing, growth, muscles. The energy is just going really into your fight or flight, and it's super unresourceful. So that's where we started to realize how much that energy returning to the body was useful. And then there's other things that change: relationships, personality, perspective, psychic ability, healing ability. That energetic release and then jump back into the body really changes everything, right?
Right. Well, so just so all the listeners, some of you have never listened to us before, so I'm just going to help to kind of give a little bit broader information about what do we mean by all this. Well, the first thing is that the work we do called Cognomovement, cogno like your brain and movement. So with this work, what we do is we exploit a natural neurological response that every human has to get an old way of feeling. Like if I was maybe stuck in fear, or if I was stuck in anger, or if I had some things that happened to me which were humiliation or something like that, what we do is we have the person feel it, and then we do this exercise that basically causes the release. And the net effect of this is that they get like an emotional amnesia. It's not like you cannot remember that what happened to you, whatever that was, but now you have no emotional charge around it. There's no feeling around it. So when you, as Liz says, that feeling, right, was the rerouting of your energy to your door locks, unproductive use. So to just bring this home for everybody, you're there, and you ever notice where you or your spouse or your children or whoever, relatives, you see them and they're like, oh, I'm so tired, oh, and if you listen to them and what's going on in their life, or the situation, they haven't been able to process the events of life yet. They don't have a good way out. They're bedraggled because they're afraid of something, or they're upset about something. But all of that is the rerouting of this information to the door locks, right? When the connections are made neurologically and the release happens, they'll get their energy back. Now, Liz had described for us, some of you know and some of you don't know, there was a Dr. David Hawkins. I think he died maybe 4 or 5 years ago. He was well into his 90s, and he left behind the work of the map of consciousness. And you can see this on the internet. He has some great books, been on Oprah Winfrey, that show, way back in the day. He wrote a book called Power versus Force. He's written many, many books. But the work that he did to produce something called the map of consciousness is the different understandings that people have come to in life. And it starts off very low at a level of shame and humiliation. With shame and humiliation, and then the next one up is guilt and blame. If you notice people are in that state, then they have very low energy, to the point that they can't get out of bed, right? They're depressed. They're just like, they can't face the world, right? They're very defeated, and they have very, very low energy. So by the very nature of the work, in releasing this in whatever way that they can, that energy literally returns. And not only does it affect them mentally, but they also energetically, that electricity in the body, that jumps up. And we do have the proof of that now with the BioWell.
Yeah, that really changed everything for us to be able to have that proof. And for me specifically, because I really am a researcher at heart, and I'm also super skeptical, all the time, of everything. I believe in everything, but I kind of want proof. I kind of want to make it make sense. So when we started to see, and it wasn't just in that first seminar, but as we moved forward, when we started to see that energy change in the body equated so many other changes in a person's life. And we did use that Hawkins scale. We used it as kind of a scale, a way to see when we could get people to jump up into even just the space of neutrality, which is just higher up the energetic scale. On that scale, it's about 250, which shame is 20. So you can, even if you don't know the scale and you don't know the work, you can tell the difference between 20 and 250. That's a large jump. But we found that when people could move up in there, their life started to look different. And we knew that the work we were doing was making those energetic changes where people had more horsepower, more available electricity, let's say. So I said that Bill and I went to a place and we got to measure what happened in certain places on that property, which were really, really impressive. But what it really taught me personally is that there are places in the world where certain bodies do resonate more. So I heard Donna Eden talking about this and talking about the 5 elements: earth, water, air, fire. I think I missed one. And then places that kind of have more or less of that energy. So I know personally, I've experienced going to places like Sicily, which is my family's, that's where my family is from. And the longer I stayed, the stronger my body got. I noticed that I looked much different when I returned. My body weight changed very rapidly downward, which was a good thing for me. Everything was stronger there. Well, I didn't know why until we went to this property recently and measured. Different places do have a different energetic signature, and they're either a match or a mismatch to that place. Now, this place that we went to is a bit different, and everyone was receiving a big boost in energy that we could prove. And we saw, even in myself physically, energetic and health changes that happened very rapidly due to having available extra energy. It's really, in my mind, that simple in a way. So that's one thing you can look at. Where on the planet do you feel better? So even here where I live, there are places nearby where my physical body feels much better, which I now know means that that place and my body are in a little more harmony and that my energetic output is going to be bigger. Interesting, right?
It is very interesting. Liz, I would not have believed this. If you took me back in time, and I know our listeners or some of them out there are going, I don't know about that. Well, I'm gonna try to help you out because I'm you. I get it. When a few weeks ago, we can't disclose it yet, but we got invited to this particular area, and we measured the energy before and then during and after. And to give you perspective here, what I'm talking about, we're measuring, when we say energy, I'm talking about the actual electrical charge in the physical body. We measured that. And the average, let's say, I'll use myself as an example. If I'm, nothing particular going on, my electrical charge in my body is somewhere between 52 to 55. And that's joules. Those are those calories of electricity. We went to this particular place, and when we got there, we walked on the property, and the electrical charge in my body went to 76. That's a reading that I've never seen in my life from anybody, anywhere. And as we were there, we ended up staying there, and it went, by the next morning, it was up to 91, an unheard of amount of electrical charge in the body. Now, there's been all kinds of phenomenons. The reason we were invited is because some amazing phenomenons had happened on that property for people that were very positive for their health. And so that's why we got invited to do these measurements, which, like I say, we can't yet disclose the location, but I do know that that there was really a real scientific reason for what was going on with people's bodies. It was simply that they were in a location that their electrical charge in their body was being driven crazy, in a positive way. So anyway, that was a really interesting phenomenon. Now, having said that, at the very end of this program, we're going to share with you a technique that is going to naturally increase this electrical charge in your body. And when you experience this, what's going to happen is you're going to notice changes in how you feel emotionally and how you change physically. So this is a very quick exercise, and you'll have it for the rest of your life. It really works. So stay tuned for that. That, like all of our episodes here on UK Health Radio, on our show, we give away a free technique at the end of every episode that really can impact your life.
So with that being said too, Bill, I just want to let everybody know it's something often that we forget to do. But if you go to our website, cognomovement.com, and you just become a subscriber, so you get on our mailing list, and we promise we don't send spam emails, only when, there's an event coming, like our Cogno Hour, which is a free event that happens twice a month. We let people know about that and other events. And if we do send you emails, a lot of times it's just great free content. But if you go there, there are 2 books that will give you images, these BioWell images, along with the story that goes along with them, so that you'll actually see for yourself that energetic jump in these images that come up. You can see the auric field, or the energy. The auric field sounds so woo-woo, but it literally is the energy around your physical body that your body is emitting, which is very, very measurable. The images also show the balance within the organs, which is very, very important. So if you want to know a little bit more about what we are talking about, there's 2 free books: Suffering is Optional, which it really is, and The Tiny Book of Big Manifesting. But they both really are about this energy that Bill and I are talking about, and the tools of Cognomovement that we use to create those energetic jumps naturally through the neurology along your power lines, your nerves. And they're very long lasting as well. What we did find is that energy on the property that we were at, it isn't long lasting. When you left the property, the energy did not follow you. However, some healing that was created with that energy, by that energy while we were there, was long lasting. So this is something that we can extrapolate. And part of it we know for sure from our BioWell testing, that when your body is in higher energy, you heal. You're not just your physical body though, your emotional body, your electrical body, obviously, and your spiritual body changes. All of those are connected to the amount of energy that you have available. When your energy decreases due to illness, trauma, pain, fear, all of those things, everything diminishes. It's like your light bulb goes down. Another way I like to explain it is having everybody else, all your neighbors, plugged in to the electrical grid on your house. You could imagine that your light bulbs might start to dim a bit, which each of these things that we call it deleting it from the body, kind of like a program in a computer, or each one of those things that you unplug out of your life, traumas, perspectives, pain, fear, drama, situations, you actually get that energy back and the lights come back on spiritually, emotionally, physically, electrically, and everything changes. So the work we do, and I mean, really, realistically, that's why we were invited to go there, because our work was mirroring what was happening to people on the property in these short periods that they were staying. However, we didn't know for sure if that lasted or didn't last. And we were able to see that people's energy was still very, very good, higher than we'd seen anywhere else. When they came down or out of that property, it was good, but it wasn't to the extremes that we saw. Now we started to see extremes above 80 joules, far above, and we'll share more with that. Some of the results are absolutely extraordinary. But while people were there, while we were there, we got that boost of energy. Now, the opposite can be true as well. There are places that just drain your energy. And you know how people talk about other people in their lives being an energy vampire? Right?
Yeah. Yeah.
They're literally draining your horsepower, your electricity. Maybe you're just a mismatch in electricity, or they really are trying to utilize the energy in your body, but places appear to do that too. There's another location just 20 miles from this one that also has some very strange energy anomalies, but in the opposite direction. So there are people there that even report getting radiation burns. Where we were, some of us got sunburnt, but never felt it. It never peeled, it never blistered, nothing. Whatever happened in the body, there was enough available energy to simply heal it quickly.
Yeah. That's amazing. If you're like me, if you've traveled, to different cities, even within your country, wherever your country is, if you notice, when you land into a different city or a different country or different continent, even notice it feels different. And I'm not talking about, the language on the signs. It actually has a different vibration, a different feeling of being there. Some places have a very downtrodden feeling, kind of a depressed feeling, and other ones are really fun and energetic, and others are just plain foreign, like this doesn't feel we're not in Kansas anymore. It's around the world, this is the Wizard of Oz. That is a famous film here in the United States a long time ago. But
yeah, I mean, that it's really, really true. And so, that's something we learned in a very real way with scientific proof that different places have different energy outputs. This one tends to be very, very useful to the body, very resourceful to the body. Some other things we noticed, my part of the work was doing these interviews with the people to see what was their energy like in general, what was their focus like, creativity, mood, sleep, relationships, and other things. And the people who spend a lot of time there, they tend to be very, very happy people. They describe themselves as happy. And we actually measured a good number of people. And the people that spent the most time there, they tended to be very high on the relationship scale. I had to really push to get them to even find a relationship that wasn't really working perfectly. They described themselves as having really good mood most of the time, high energy, and off the charts creativity. And that's something you and I noticed right away, Bill, that when people would delete some of these big patterns out of their body with Cogno movement, with our work, that they then would sometimes create a masterpiece or have incredible ideas or create inventions, that sort of thing, right?
Oh my gosh. You know, the stories on this with Cogno movement, there was a woman who, listen to this, it's amazing. When they basically processed their mother issues, this particular person, highly educated, they were a doctor, and they had problems all their life with their mother. Mother was somewhat of a narcissist, you know, self-focused and that sort of thing. And they did a Cogno movement session where they ended up becoming at peace with their life with their mother. And not only did that day, or I think it was that day later, their mother called and apologized and admitted, you know, the hardship that she had created for the daughter. But the weird thing was, you know, there was nothing said. The daughter didn't say anything. It's just without a word being said, the mother's calling and realizing what she had done, which was, you know, never before done in you know, 40 years. So the other thing that happened with this particular person is that they ended up painting, in the United States, we call it a dahlia. It's a particular flower. You can look at it online. It's a beautiful flower, and she figured out the mathematical formula for a dahlia, you know, because it's a geometric shape, right? And it's, you know, has many leaves, you know, like a rose, but they're thinner petals and that sort of thing. But had figured out a mathematical formula to do the painting with, and then not only painted it, but painted it with a completely new medium. I think she painted in an oil that she never ever used before. So it was an amazing feat, right? That out of nowhere, a tremendous boost in creativity that combined logic, right? Mathematical formulas, straight logic, right? And that new medium of painting. So many things happen when these old patterns get released. And the most amazing thing about it is with that work is that you're not trying to change your mind. It automatically happens. We just had her, for example, to feel all of her resentment about it. Feel your resentment about how this went with your mom all your life. And here, you know, you're still dealing with it 40 years later. Yeah.
Do you know the truth about that is, Bill, that session wasn't specifically about her mom. It was about something else. And that thread about her mom was part of it.
Mm-hmm.
Connected. Yeah. I mean, that's really the cool thing. So when you are able to change these patterns, and like Bill's telling this story, you can actually end up with energy provided to that part of the brain that stimulates creativity. Now, our work does more than that because we're using eyes to access files in the brain that stimulate specifically creativity, mood, memory, all kinds of things. So we're doing a lot of different things that help facilitate that. But the bottom line is your energy changes. The pathways of your energies change. And you can actually create a form of genius. It just occurred to me that there's a possibility that that's where genius may come from, is that a particular part of the neurology is routing extra energy. Maybe it's to the mathematics zone. Maybe it's to the language zone. Maybe it's to the artistic, musical zone of the brain. We don't know. That's just a guess on my part, but kind of thinking that might be it. But Bill, we've had so much fun talking about this. We could talk about this for the rest of our lives. And by the way, we do. But you said you were going to share a process with everyone, an exercise that they could increase their energy. So I want to make sure we get that in before we've got to close out the episode for today.
Yeah, fantastic. Okay, we're just going to get right to it. Now, what I'd like you to do is to notice. I want you to notice the current strife in your life. Whether you're concerned about global economics or global health or your next door neighbor or whatever, all your big problems, and notice on a scale of 1 to 10 how you feel about all that. Just notice, put it on a scale of 1 to 10 for yourself. Also, I want you to notice if you have any physical pains in your body or discomfort or tension. Just notice how your body is, whatever may be not functioning quite the way you want. And what we're going to do is a very, very simple process. Make sure you put all those things on a scale of 1 to 10 for yourself so that we know if this works for you, which it will. Now that you have that all set those actual measurements, that 1 to 10, set that for yourself aside, and we'll begin with noticing your toes. Notice your toes and physically relax your toes. Relax your toes. And relax the bottoms of your feet. Relax your feet themselves. Relax your ankles. Relax your calves. Physically relax them. You have command over your physical body. Relax the calves. Tell your knees to relax. Tell your thighs to relax. Actually command over your body. Tell them to relax. Relax the hips. Relax your hips. You have command over your body. You can do it. Relax it. Relax the lower back. Just relax it. You can tell all the muscles and the tendons there to just relax. Relax the base of your torso. Relax your gut. Have your gut to just let go. Let go. Relaxing all the organs inside your torso. Just imagine you're telling all the organs to relax. You can actually do that. Relax your upper torso. Relax the shoulders. A lot of people carry tension in the shoulders. Notice where the tension is and relax it. You have command over it. Just relax. Relaxing the arms, the fingers, the neck. Relax the back of the neck. Relax your jaw, your tongue, your face. Relax the entire face, between the eyebrows, around the eyes, the temples, the entire scalp. Relax it. You know, you can actually even relax the inside of your nose, that those inside those passageways, you have command over them. Put your attention there and tell those to relax, to let the air in and out easily. You can actually tell it, relax. Relax the inside of your throat. Notice now where the smallest bit of physical tension is in your body. There's some little micro tension. Notice where it is, and then tell that area of the body to simply relax. Keep relaxing the physical body, noticing the next physical tension, wherever that might be in the body, and then have it to relax along the spine, wherever that might be. Scan the entire body. Scanning the body around the ears, around the sides of the neck. Just noticing. If there's any micro tension in your face at all, or anywhere else, just relax it. Now, notice those problems in your life. Notice your physical pains or discomforts you had, and put them back on a scale of 1 to 10. Where are they at now? For many of you, this will be already at a 0. Or some of you have not completely relaxed yet, and they have maybe been cut in half. Your pain's in half, your emotional thing, the intensity of it's in half. If you continue to relax, this issue you won't feel it anymore. Now, if we measured you right now, you would also see an increase in your voltage. The actual electrical charge in your body would have already increased. So notice this, that we used your body to start to change your mind. Simple as that. So you can use this technique over and over. It is an easy way for you to increase your voltage and also make your life better. Before we go, I just want to remind everybody, we have 2 free ebooks for you. These 3 books are just awesome. Remember when we said suffering is optional? That's on our website. You can get this free ebook and read. Suffering is optional. And also the tiny book of big manifesting. These are secret techniques that have never before been released. And you will bump your manifesting like crazy with this book. So no matter which one you might be interested in, you'll get both if you go to the website and you just put your email address and those will be sent off to you. Now that website is Cognomovement, that's CognoMovement.com. You can go there, you'll get your free ebooks and start improving your life today. Thank you, Liz.
So that was fantastic, Bill. Also, guys, if you come to the website and this work is resonating with you and it sounds like something you want to get started on right away, we have what's called basic training. It's an online program that you get right away. You'll get the Cogno balls and you can get started. Also, quantum jumping, a quantum course for quantum manifesting is also available as an online course. You can work with a practitioner around the world on Zoom in person. You could work with Bill and myself if you wanted to do that too. There's lots of options. So if this sounds like it's right for you, come on over and get started, become part of our Cognomovement family. All right, Bill, see you next time.
Thank you.
Bye, everybody.
Thanks for being here with us on the New Life Perspective radio show. For more information or to find out more about the work that Bill and I do, please visit us at cognomovement.com or email us at info@cognomovement.com. See you again soon.